Hey, what's up, guys? I'm David DeMuzio, and I have had 5 hair transplants, full hair transplants, and 1 repair surgery, and made just about every mistake that you can imagine between hair transplants and hair loss medications and lack thereof. So today I'm going to be reacting to Brett Maverick's hair transplant. I did a full reaction to his actual hair transplant surgery, but it looks like this is some kind of a vlog video that's a little bit different than the surgery. So I'll be giving my thoughts on this and some of the experience that he shared. I'm very thankful to him for sharing his experience so we can all learn from that. And I'll be sharing in this video some different photos of mine so I can show you some of the journey that I've been through and how that compares to some of what Brett has been through. For the record, in case it helps, I started going bald when I was about 18, 19 years old. Definitely had lost most of the hair on this top of my head by the time that I was around 22, 23 years old. And now I am nearing 40 years old. So this has been a long journey, and hopefully I still have a long ways to go in the life of my hair. Here's Brett.
So this is probably the last time you'll see me till afterwards. I'll see you on the other side, please. Let's rewind real quick. 6 years ago, I was on top of the world. I was tall, fit, and handsome. And then, on one
If my chest
morning,
looked that good, I'd probably be touching it all the time
would send
too.
chills down the spine of any God-fearing man. My hairline was retreating faster than the French. And I knew it was only a matter of time until I was balder than a bowling ball. So this is the story of how I got my hairline back.
Right, if you've been watching this channel, then you do not have fragile eyes. I don't know if this is really them doing work on him and it's really censored or not.
Okay, guys, cool. I just got home from the operation.
All right, so let me give some thoughts on this. So, boy, they went deep on the hairline. Like, they did a lot of work on the hairline. That's a lot, especially considering that I don't feel like he had really bad, hair loss. Like, yeah, I feel like I would have been a little bit more conservative on the hairline because they did a good, it looks like, I don't know, 1.5 inches or so. On the sides, a lot. And then what I find kind of strange is, okay, so this is called the temporal peaks or temple points right here on the side. And this is the most difficult thing to do and make look really natural on a hair transplant. Every doctor that I've talked to, every surgeon that I've talked to said that that is like one of the trickiest parts of a hair transplant is making this, and especially when it comes to the art of a hair transplant, is making this look really good and making that, because it's all part of the way that your face is framed, with both the hairline and those temporal peaks or temporal points. And they need to be done typically together. I mean, every surgeon and every surgery is different, but typically all the surgeries that I've seen where a lot of hairline work is done, then a good amount of temporal peak work is also done because they complement each other and they work together. So I find this a little bit odd that they did so much hairline work and virtually no temporal peak work. It looks like there might be a couple little dots there. Let's look on the side. So looks like maybe like 50 little dots there on the left side. I mean, not enough to really make much of a difference, I think, especially when you compare that to the density of the hairline, which looks like incredibly packed. And then on the other side, on the right side, it looks like even less was done. It looks like there might be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like 8. Like, why would you even do 8? That's what it looks like, if they even did any at all. But it looks like maybe 8 little spots. And if you watch a lot more videos on hair transplants, I think you'll always notice the top surgeons in the world, if they're doing the hairline, especially that much hairline work where it's like 1.5 inches bringing your hairline down, then they're also doing temporal peak work, unless the person just had incredible temporal peaks. But to me, especially, even if it's not the temporal points where it's like goes to the point right there, the very pointiest part, at least a little bit there, kind of coming down a little bit. So it kind of is a little bit more rounded on this part right here. It would be done. All right, let's keep watching.
Doesn't look, that aesthetic. Obviously, it's a little freaky. Yeah, it actually looks better than it did on the way home. It was like, it's kind of like crusted over at this point. It used to be all oily. But anyways, so I'm gonna try to go to bed here soon. It actually hurts quite a
Wow.
bit, so that might be kind of tough. They did give me a little neck pillow to use, but
Okay, so this is something that he talked about in the other video, and so he talks about it hurting quite a bit. So it shouldn't really hurt much after your hair transplant. He said he had a huge headache, and if you're prone to migraines, that could be its own issue. But that could just be something that you're prone to. But as far as actual pain after the transplant, there really shouldn't be immediate pain that you should ever feel. On all my last hair transplants, I didn't even take any pain medication afterward. And a couple of my friends have recently had hair transplants from top doctors, and yeah, had basically no pain, like none that they would even that was worth even mentioning. So I think part of this comes from, he had mentioned that during the surgery, he didn't realize that it wasn't supposed to hurt. And so they kept doing the surgery, and he didn't realize that he could ask for more of the anesthesia. So that is a huge miscommunication in my opinion. Every surgery that I've had done, the doctors and nurses make very clear to me, if you ever start feeling anything during this surgery other than the initial numbing, but after the numbing, if you feel us taking hairs out or placing grafts and you feel anything at all, immediately let us know, because you always want to stay ahead of the pain. So I've always done that immediately. If I even feel the tiniest little poke, then I just go, okay, cool, I felt something, and they numb it up and we just keep going. So that's one issue I feel like when you go to a different country where your first language isn't that language, is that you might have this miscommunication, and miscommunication during surgery could be quite dangerous or quite painful.
And I'm actually back in California now. I had it done about 6 days ago, so you can see, let me see if I can scoot in. It's kind of like scabbed up and in the healing process now.
So I'm going to show some pictures of myself 6 days after surgery. And if I remember correctly from his video, he had 2,400 grafts. It was 23 or 2,400 grafts put in. So I'm going to show you a surgery that I had done. And boy, I think I had almost the same, a little bit more than that. I think mine was like 2,500, 2,600. It was in that range. So just a little bit more than maybe 2,700. I forget off the top of my head, but it was the surgery before last that I had. There was FUE, because I want to have it, be kind of similar. I had some hairline work done, some temple point work done. And I want to show you, that with 2,700 grafts and what my head looked like 6 days after surgery compared to what his head looks like 6 days after surgery. So if you'll notice, my head, it looks like I almost didn't even have any surgery, like nothing was really done to me. I was all healed up, really clean work. Most of the scabs had already fallen off, and I never had anything close to the scabbing that he's got there. That's like some really intense scabbing. I'm not a doctor, obviously, and I don't think it's quite that, but it almost has like a necrosis kind of look to it, because it's just so scabbed over. So let's hope that that's not what it is. But it's really bloody. Again, not a doctor, but I just don't feel like that's probably the best way to ensure that all the grafts survive, is to have it be that bloody and scabby and everything. I don't know why he might have been bleeding more than most normal people. Somebody had mentioned maybe he was on some kind of testosterone or something like that. That could have caused extra bleeding. Obviously, if he is, I don't think he's going to be, because he's in his mid-20s. If he is, then that's something he should have definitely talked about with the surgeon and staff beforehand, to know, like, was he drinking before the surgery? You're not supposed to drink. You're not supposed to drink caffeine. You're not supposed to drink alcohol. There's certain things that you're not supposed to do. I think topical minoxidil, you can't use for like a week or two before the surgery. There's like a list of things that you shouldn't do, because it can potentially add to the bleeding. So hopefully that was something that they discussed with him, so that he gets the best results.
But then recently, this clinic in Turkey reached out to me and wanted to work together and basically provide the whole thing for free of charge. So that's an awesome
Okay, so he did get the
opportunity.
hair transplant for free, like I was kind of thinking.
Transplant that people pay good money for. So I took him up on the opportunity, and yeah, now here we are. And I think the worst part of all is I have to sleep with this neck pillow thing on my back, and my back's been getting really tight, and I've probably been sleeping like, I don't know, 4 hours a night or something. So I can't wait for that to be over, go back to sleeping on my side.
Wow, that's wild. I've never slept upright after a surgery for more than 3 days. You get injected with the anesthesia, and that has to drain. The anesthesia has to drain. Once it's all drained, you're good. You don't need to sleep upright. It's all about, the reason you have to sleep upright is for all the anesthesia to actually drain downwards. Otherwise, you can get big puffy eyes and big puffy forehead and all that. But if a minimal amount of anesthesia is used, it's done well, the anesthesia, then they shouldn't actually have to use too much anesthesia. In which case, you really shouldn't have to sleep upright for that many days, because there's not an excess amount of anesthesia that's been used. Unfortunately, people that don't know what they're doing very well, surgeons, they'll use, and clinics will use way too much anesthesia because they're just not good at it. And so they're like, we'll just pump you full of anesthesia, you won't feel anything, and then we don't have to worry about it. So I find that happens a lot in cheaper clinics.
But this is where it got really fun. The next day, I started swelling up like a balloon. I looked so crazy because all the saline that they inject starts just like falling down your face. So first it was in my eyes, and then just went down to my cheeks and then my jaw. It was crazy looking. And now I'm just...
Yeah, this is nuts, okay? So check out this photo right here. That's what he looked like. I think this is he said second or third day after surgery, okay? He's swollen up like crazy. Now, this is a guy who's supposedly slept upright. So he's done what he's supposed to and slept upright so the anesthesia can drain. But so much anesthesia was used on him, so his whole face pumped up like that. Like, it's not supposed to look like that. So now I'll show you some video and photos of me day 2 and 3 after surgery, and you can see what my head looks like. Like, my face looks 100% normal. There's no puffiness, there's no swelling, there's none of that stuff because an excess amount of anesthesia was not used during the surgery. Here I am doing my shopping at Trader Joe's, day 3 post-op. So yeah, just kind of wanted to fill you in. I mean, I guess my head doesn't look like amazing, but it honestly doesn't even look that bad. Like, I don't think most people who look at me even know that I just had surgery done, at least in the front. I'll also show a photo of my friend Rob. This is him on day 3 after surgery, and you'll see that there is, this is either day 2 or day 3, but he told me there's no swelling. Now we talked yesterday, it was like day 6 for him, and there's been no swelling whatsoever. So if it's done correctly, you should not look like this, whatever, puffy-eyed alien thing. Yeah, there was just too much anesthesia, or he didn't sleep upright correctly. But it sounds like he was told to do that, so I think he did.
Crazy, because all the saline that they inject starts just like falling.
All right, they don't inject saline, they inject anesthesia. So it's the anesthesia that does need to drain, but it's not saline. Saline's typically what they use to clean the surgery, like to clean the surgical space while the surgery is being done. So thanks again, Brett, for sharing your story with us. I hope this video is helpful for you guys. You know a little bit of what to expect or what you should watch out for. And I'm wishing Brett all the success with his hair transplant. Fortunately, he's got good donor hair, it looks like. Regardless of what decision he's made so far, he should be able to recover from it one way or another. And also, he got the hair transplant for free, so he's not out any cash. He's got a popular YouTube channel, so I'm sure that he can get another hair transplant for free from another surgeon if he wants to improve it. So I think that he's going to be just fine. He's going to turn out awesome, and he's a great looking guy. So I think he's going to be fine regardless. Yeah, you learn. I've made lots of mistakes. Not to say he did make a mistake. I guess that's for him to decide, really. But I've made personally a lot of mistakes when it comes to hair transplants. So these are things that I've just had to learn. And fortunately, it hasn't been any one mistake that was too awful for me to not be able to recover from it and still have a great looking head of hair. So I'm definitely wishing the same for Brett, and I think that's possible for him too. Take care, guys.